So, good morning. Nice to be here. So, thank you, Jimmy. I'm going to talk about how we're going to use Bitcoin and blockchain technology in global supply chain, and how we do that with a solution in the world's largest ERP systems. Very shortly about myself. I'm an old gray-haired man, so I have a couple of years' experience in SAP. The last 4 years, I've been working with been working with integrating Bitcoin blockchain with SAP. I'm also the founder of Unisot, so I'm going to talk about today. I moved to Norway 4 years ago, and I was looking for a community there, but couldn't find anyone. So I started Norway Bitcoin and Blockchain Association there, and I'm from Sweden. So they needed a Swede to come to Norway to start that one. And then we also started the Oslo Blockchain Cluster to bring together the companies in Norway that are working with Bitcoin or cryptocurrency and blockchain together. So what I'm going to talk about today is we have a challenge in the world. The growth of the world economy is stagnating. We have reached a ceiling of aggregated efficiency at 20%. And the reason for that is that we are still using old technology. We are using 20th century telecom technologies. We are using fossil-based energy systems. And we are using internal combustion engines, so diesel and benzene transports today. And the industrial centralization is also stagnating, so we are getting more and more companies going decentralized instead. So what we are talking about is the phases of industry. So there are different ways to calculate this, but the way we do it is we are thinking that in 1780 we got the steam engine. So that was Industry 1.0. Then in the 1900s, we got the electricity. 1970, we got the computers. 2000, we got internet. And in just a couple of years, we will come into Industry 5.0, when man and machine goes together. And as you can see, the different phases are going quicker and quicker. We started with 120 years, 70 years, 30 years, 20 years. It goes quicker and quicker, as usual. And what we see is that we are going more and more on decentralization. And we are getting autonomization. What we get with this Industry 5.0 and the digital transformation that we see is that we get totally new business models with the 3D printings, with the machine learnings, with drones, with big data and all of this. So that gives us new business models going from markets to networks, going from ownership to access, going from consumers to prosumers, and from monthly to streaming payments. And what we see is that blockchain will really enable the Industry 5.0. So we will get this decentralized money. We will get decentralized payment systems. We will get secure digital tokens. We get smart contracts. We go from Internet of Things to economy of things. And we get this anything as a service, thanks to streaming and micropayments. We also get machine-to-machine payments, which is totally new from the cryptocurrency area. And by that, we get financial autonomy. We all know about mechanical autonomy, where a car or a truck or even a boat, now in Norway, are autonomous. They can drive themselves without an actual driver in there. But what this means is that we get financial autonomy. These self-driving machines can now have their own economy, their own financial inside. So we will get through decentralized sharing economies, not the one we have today like Uber and Airbnb. They're everything but decentralized. They are totally centralized. A research company came out with a report a couple of weeks ago saying that blockchain will be universal by 2025. And there are 3 areas where we can use and have benefits from blockchain. And that is in cost savings, it is in enhanced traceability, and it is improved transparency. And they say that there is an opportunity of 966 billion euros, or about $1 trillion here. So, from building this scene here, that we can see we have a lot of things we can do. It's a big market. What we are doing, we are focusing then on supply chain, just to focus on something. And we think that supply chain is a very good use case. There's a lot of low-hanging fruits in supply chain that we can use. And supply chain, you may think, what is a supply chain? It's a truck driving from here to there, it's not much. But actually, everything that we own, everything I wear, everything I eat, every tool that I have has gone through a supply chain. About 75% of the people on Earth are working in supply chains. So it's actually huge. It's 2/3 of the global GDP. It is a market of $54 trillion. So we have something here we can work with. But there are some challenges in supply chains. These challenges is, as we saw, we have difficulty to increase the efficiency through the whole supply chain. It is impossible to reduce the marginal costs with this old technology that we are using. So what's happening today is that each company in their closed data silos, they are trying to make their own organization as efficient as possible. But that leads to sub-optimization in the complete supply chain. And it leads to higher costs. So thereof, we have this 20% efficiency. And 20% is actually Japan. They're on top of the world, 20%. The second best is Germany, on about 18%. But we have been struggling with that level for the last 10, 15 years. We don't get the efficiency higher than that. So we're actually losing 80% of our energy, our resources. And we also have a problem with the lack of up-to-date and accurate information. And we have slow and expensive economic system. And a lot of manual paperwork, of course. Still today, it's a ton of paper when you want to freight a container from Asia to Europe or from Asia to America. They still want to have a lot of stamps, go to different offices and everything. And that is totally inefficient. And I was talking about data silos. Data is today closed in data silos. So each company have their own IT system or ERP system. They have their own databases. So what we do today is that we have to build a lot of integrations between these companies. And this is what I have been working with for the last 20 years, building integrations. And what I see that on every new company I come to, I build the same integrations in the same old way as we have done for the last 10 years. Really inefficient and very expensive. And this creates a lot of gaps. So, for example, if we have an order, I have ordered a blue car, but now I change my mind, I want a red car. That information has to travel all the way up in the supply chain to the supplier or to the manufacturer before they can change the order. Same when they send the invoice, that invoice has to travel the whole way down the supply chain before everybody gets paid. This creates huge gaps. We have information gaps, we have time gaps, because average in the world today, it takes about 42 days for an invoice before it's paid. And that's 42 days per gap. Imagine a supply chain with 10 gaps. It's 420 days before the whole economic transaction is done. That gives us a lot of liquidity gaps, a lot of money is tied up in this. And when we talk about supply chains, we often draw it like a line like this, but the topology of a supply chain is more like a network, more like internet. It's a whole network of suppliers, distributors, customers, shops, and so on. And just imagine all the gaps we have there and all the money tied up in this system. We actually have $4 trillion tied up at any given time in supply chains. And even worth 25%, 1/4 of all equipment, machines, factories, boat, people are tied up, not used at any given time. 1/4. Totally unsustainable, totally inefficient. And then we have another problem, and that is the capital distribution problem. Today, if you are in the center of the supply chain here, like Nestlé or Mars or the big companies, they have very good access to capital at a very low price. But if you are out in the edge here, if you are a poor farmer, coffee farmer in Cambodia here, you have very low access to capital to buy new machines, and it is very expensive. And this is actually one of the biggest problems to the world poverty, according to the World Bank. So, what we are proposing here is a solution where we have a universal source of truth with the help of a blockchain data layer, of course. So what we think that we can offer is a 1 to 2 order of magnitude better, 10 to 100 times faster information exchange, 10 to 100 times better information and more accurate information exchange, 10 to 100 times more secure, and for all, 10 to 100 times cheaper than the current systems. So our mission is to boost the adoption of Bitcoin by incentivizing use in global industries and incentivizing use in global commerce. And we are doing that by providing a blockchain, enterprise blockchain platform with a very, very low capex. You don't need a lot of capital to invest in this and to start using it. And with a very good return of investment. You can earn back your money very, very quickly. We're also trying to build an open global business network where all the partners in a supply chain can join together. And of course, we are building this on a blockchain peer-to-peer with peer-to-peer Unisot modules. And we are doing this we are starting, because my background is from SAP, and SAP is the largest ERP system in the world. For those of you who don't know SAP, it's actually one of the biggest software company in the world. 76% of all transactions in the world goes through an SAP system. 78% of all the world food producers is an SAP customer. And 82% of the world medical devices are done by an SAP customer. So I think we have a very good use case if we just start in SAP doing our solution there, but we are not only using SAP. We will open this up for all IT system, all ERP system, Oracle, IBM, Navision, and so on. So this is a huge business case. So what we are doing, we're building our module, and we are connecting that to our SAP system. We're connecting to the global blockchain. So that gives us blockchain as a platform, blockchain platform as a service, where we get all the blockchain functionality in SAP. So it's smart contracts, we get digital tokens, we get a global settlement system, we get private payment channels. We are not only getting blockchain functionality into SAP, but we also get the functionality in the ERP system back into the blockchain functionality. So we can use the business partner management in SAP in our system so that we can use the functionality for for node due diligence. So we can have functions for know your customer, anti-money laundering, and so on. We can verify nodes, third parties can verify nodes. Because we are in a business environment, all the nodes are already verified in their country, so it's not a huge problem. We also have an open API, so we are not only connecting to SAP and other ERP systems, we can also connect to manufacturing systems, warehouse systems, legacy systems, and so on. And this gives us peer-to-peer, business-to-business communication. And we are then supporting in our system all the standard business processes that are needed for companies, like contracts, orders, deliveries, bill of lading, invoices, and all of these standard business processes that are needed in any company today. And inside our system, we are using industry standards, of course. So we are using UBL, Universal Business Language, which is an ISO standard, and we're using GSE1, for example. And that is what we are using internally. And thanks to we are using an industry standard internally, we can also talk to companies that are not yet in our system with this industry standard. And one of the main functions that we have in our system, and what connects very good to what James was just talking about here, tokens, we call it digital twins in our system. So what we are doing is that from any physical thing, I'm from Norway, so we are exporting a lot of salmon, so that's why I have a fish there. I'm going to talk more about the fish system later. But we can take a fish and we can create a digital object of that digital twin in the blockchain. And that could be any kind of object. It could be an airplane, it could be a machine, it could be a truck, whatever we like. And by doing that, we can create this digital thread. And then when we connect that to the global product lifecycle management in the ERP system, we get a very nice digital thread here where we have global traceability, we have provenance, and we get this ownership transfer with the token functionality that James just talked about. So what we do here is that we can register the fish eggs, the small fish when they are growing up, how much food they get, water temperatures, so on, when they are harvested, how they are treated in the factory, how the transport is doing, is it cool all the way, how much CO2 is exhausted, and so on. When you are in the restaurant, you can rate the fish if you like it or not. And of course, we have recycling in all of this system. And thanks to the cryptocurrency that we are using, we have this global settlement system for free, more or less. So by connecting all the different business systems here with Unisot, we have a supply chain-wide settlement system in real time, which can actually reduce financial cost by 90%. If you are an international company today, it's very expensive and very slow to make international payments. With Bitcoin and our system, you can save 90% of that financial costs. And we get payment channels, so we can do micro-channels, streaming payments, and so on. So what we are doing, we are not removing any of the current systems. The ERP systems is very good. They are very good at what they are doing, but they are centralized. They have the databases and so on, but what we are doing is just, we are adding a blockchain data layer in the bottom here. One global data layer for every company. And now if we take our order here, I want to change my blue car to a red car. It doesn't have to travel the supply chain up. We can just distribute that information out to all the nodes that needs to know it. Same with the invoice. We can just send out the invoice and get payment to all the nodes that needs that in real time. But we get some other good functionality from this. We can also share information. If I have a drawing that I want to distribute, or I change a drawing, we can now send that information out to the system, to all the nodes that should or have to know that information. And of course, we get the traceability, global traceability and alerts with this system. And because all the systems are connected together, we can also get these peer-to-peer secure messaging system without a lot of integrations. We have a solution for the capital problem as well. So we can even out the costs, and we can hire the availability of capital for the whole supply chain. So we're equalizing the capital distribution here. And we have a couple of financial solutions that we're planning for this. I'm not going to go into details on all of them. So in short, what we are doing, we have encrypted immutable communication. We have decentralized storage system. We are storing IoT data very securely. We have provenance tracking. We have digital token management. We have a real-time settlement system, smart contracts, machine-to-machine payments, and digital twins, and a decentralized marketplaces. So then to go more in focus, so what we are working on now in Norway is a fish farming solution. So we have a fish farming solution in SAP, which I will show in a minute. I'm just going to talk about the market first. Actually, a little Norway up there in Scandinavia, in north somewhere, is actually the second largest exporter of fish, seafood. They have a turnover of 90 billion NOK, which is about $10 billion. Not bad for a small country with 5-6 million people, all fishermen. They are expecting a growth of 600% the coming years, which will lead up to a revenue of 550 billion NOK, or $64 billion. Just to compare that, Norway is a big oil exporter, so everybody who's not fishing are drilling oil. They're actually exporting today oil for 440 billion NOK, $51 billion a year. So then can we just see here, the oil market is going down, the fish market is going up. So we have, in not many years from now, the fish export will exceed the oil industry. And for that, they need good ERP systems that today they don't have that. So that's why this company I'm working with are providing that in SAP. And this is how it looks like. For those of you who know SAP, maybe a lot of you think about a green screen or a very bad user interface. That has changed totally in the latest versions of SAP. This is SAP today. It's a web application. You can run it on your phone or tablet, and you have these tiles. So here you have harvest, growth, aquaculture, mortality, and so on, all the things that a fish farmer needs to keep track of. So what we are doing here with our digital twins is that we take from the fish eggs, we create a digital object. We are following them in batches because we cannot identify each egg yet. But when the fish comes out in the sea, when they are getting a little bit bigger, we can actually identify them with cameras, like facial recognition for fish. They're actually swimming through a pipe with cameras. And the good thing, when the fish is swimming through this pipe and being recognized, and not only being recognized, we can also estimate the size of them, see if they have any sickness or damages and so on. And then we can give them exactly the right amount of food, any kind of medicine, and we can guide them. If it's a sick fish, we can guide after the pipe, we can guide them to a special container where we take care of the sick fish. Not we, but our company is doing this, but we support that solution in our system. So we have now an ID on every fish, and we can follow that in the harvest, when it is harvest, what was the water temperature, sea weather, and everything. And then we can follow that into the processing, and even follow every slice of the fish, every fillet of the salmon we can follow into a new product, and we can follow that product through distribution, see that it is cooled all the way, check the exhaust from the vehicles and so on, all the way out to the restaurant. And of course, we can also add all business documents to this, so contracts, orders, invoices, bill of ladings, and all of these business documents that you also need to have in the supply chain. And of course, we can add certificates to this. So, when we then add a Unisot node to each company, we get a very good network for communication, secure communication, peer-to-peer data transfer, and we get a settlement system, of course. So, very shortly, very quickly, exactly on time, we are looking for investors, partners, and colleagues. So if you want to join, just contact me. You have the barcode here. Thank you very much. If you have questions.